Hey, everybody. We have a legendary car here today is a 2005 Ferrari F 430 Spyder 2. I'll tell you right off the bat, this car has 1,200 kilometers on it. Actually, he is interesting in that some time ago showed a short video about how we tidied up the rear window on the awning. We got it all worked out, and now, actually, in the light of day. I'll show you the whole thing up close. But it's interesting in that it can basically be safely called a time capsule. Because that kind of mileage, well, there's no such thing. And the Spyder 430, that is the right color, the classic color, Rosso Casa. In fact, I don't recall ever seeing one, even with that kind of mileage. Even though we've been in the service business for years. Servicing these Italian cars. But it's actually somewhat of an event because the car is literally a new car. But it's impossible to see such a car, it's impossible to touch such a car. But today it actually became a reality, and I waited for the car to be washed. We have to send it to the customer. But at the same time I am showing now how this car looks in the daylight, because in the box the lighting is not exactly what I would like for such a color of the car, with such a mileage of the car. I think it's exactly the right thing to watch. Well, basically, I was just showing you the story behind this glass. Which isn't glass, it's some kind of plastic. We beat it, the whole story, because it was a cloudy rear window. Well, if you're interested, check out this video on the channel. In fact, it turned out all banal, simple and good, but there were some worries that it will not work out, that we will have to order this thing. How soon it will all come, we don't know. Especially since the car isn't young anymore. He's young. Young in condition, young in soul, but he's very, very mature in age. It's going on 20 years. So, there's already some questions about parts. Unlike, of course, Mercedes, for example, which to the old cars, I think, to this day almost on the entire model produces spare parts. From the Italians. It happens, questions arise. And you can, in principle, order any part from the factory. But it's very complicated. And very not fast in time, although in principle it is a car not everyday use, and if some really will need to order a part. But I think we can wait, especially if the car deserves it as much as possible. Showing the bodywork, the equipment, what condition it's in. But actually the idea of this video is to show what the old new Ferrari looks like just by showing the headlights. Not a scratch, no tape. I mean the car is absolutely authentic, in original coloring, without any detailing, any chemistry. Here it is as it is, completely in the original. I think it will be very, very nice to see for those who love cars, who love classic cars. And naturally for those who are partial to the Italian car industry. I'm actually one of them, too. I am a member. Once again, about these are exactly the moments where things are usually ugly. There are certainly some minor signs of use here, but it's more dust than dirt specifically. So the good way here is to take it to a profile place, wash it from the bottom, wash it, remove the wheels, wash the underfenders. Well, I mean, it's such an enjoyable creative endeavor. Well, let's see what's going on in the cabin. I forgot to open the door, but we're all right now. Always the Ferrari has very small door handles actually. On the one hand, it looks very, very aesthetic. On the other hand, it is not very convenient, and as a rule, or rather, not even as a rule. It used to be quite common to break these knobs. If for some reason the battery is dead, people are starting to make some wrong moves in the parking lot. But, by and large, Ferrari had it. Lamborghini has one, too. Especially Gaillard had problems with his handles too. They certainly don't have them that small. But still, there were similar problems. But there, basically, the handle is inexpensive in general. Compared to a Ferrari, a Lamborghini has about €100 worth. I think there will be 300 to 400 here. Well, let's take a look at what's here. I was going to say under the hood, or rather what's here in the engine compartment. Perfectly clean. Well, of course the mileage warrants it, a perfectly clean atmospheric engine. The specs, who's interested, you can Google it, because honestly, I won't even talk about memory anymore. But in the neighborhood of probably 500 horsepower, maybe a little less, because that motor. Some of it has been put on the Maserati, but even more so on the 360 Ferrari. So we've got some bits and pieces from the Maserati, so here we've got the Ferrari. In general, how a new motor looks like and how a new car looks like, I'm showing you now just completely approximately, that's the right way to put it. But it's actually very nice to service cars like this. Because, you know yourself, age-related transportation has these unpleasantries quite often. Like something won't unscrew, something rusts, you have to drill it out. Well, anyway, tons and tons and tons of problems. But Ferrari, in principle, doesn't do that very often. Because in our country, cars are mostly summer cars. Therefore, there is naturally no such thing as winter operation. But still, age takes its toll. Their own, and of course there are problems. But here, as you can see, there's no question here at all. Now by the way, if I will not forget to show you exactly the tag with the name of the paint color. Now we'll see either under the hood or hopefully under the hood, yes under the hood. So still I think I'm not mistaken, it's a Dewey course because the video was filmed separately garden. Accordingly, I put the sound on a little later. You can't do it at the same time, of course. Because workflows. Well, it's just plain uncomfortable. Well, and it turns out to be shoddy and uninformative on a lap. Well, here's another one about the pen. Regarding the lockpicks. Well, that's already, I think, a walking joke at Ferrari. If in 2005 such a lock grub to see quite adequate. So, say, in 2021, 2022, 2023. It probably wouldn't be correct to see that kind of grub. Well, sort of. However, that's the way it is at Ferrari. They still haven't done anything about it. They didn't change anything. But basically, they already have the strength of the brand to the point where you even want to say, it happens, the worse the better. But by and large, they can afford it. Seating condition. Here, by the way, the interior is maxed out, meaning the seat. We've got a Daytona standing here. So here I am just showing you what this glass we polished looks like. It's as good as it gets. There are some minor streaks, but this, I think, will still clean up with a better wash. But it's not often you see an interior in this condition either. But by the way, it looks cool with a beige interior like that. With darker stripes, it's closer to cognac. Because the 430 had mostly black interiors. They were all black. Whether it was the fashion at the time for them, or just people, I don't know, some imagination was lacking. And especially the Spyders had them black for some reason. Well, maybe again because if we have this car being operated, it's dusty enough here. And when ordering a new car most likely. The motivation was just so that it was this car. This salon is easier to operate and easier to maintain and easier to take care of. Well, I think it's authentic here, it's all original. By the way, you've even seen gloves laid out so you can ride in this car. What's interesting is that they're original too. Used to bring these things in for custom orders a long time ago. But in fact, many automakers have these things in their accessories. I've seen the Maserati, I've seen the Porsche. Basically, Ferrari's accessories are fairly inexpensive. Such gloves will cost, I think, in the neighborhood of 150 euros. It's basically the equivalent of what a Porsche would cost as well. But it seems to me that Ferrari probably makes more money on accessories than they do on selling cars. And more than on the sale of, actually, auto parts. I think so, because the amount of accessories that Ferrari sells, I don't think any other brand sells. Well, our admiration of this car is coming to an end. Write in the comments if you like the color, if you like the copy. But also on further what you would like to see, I will try to fulfill that if possible. That's all for today. I'm off to work and you guys watch my channel and subscribe.